Today we're going to talk about column 183 of Liber 777. Whoa. Its title is The Legendary Orders of Beings. The Legendary Order, oh yes. So it's a grand title, but the thing about legendary is something that everybody knows and they think they know where it comes from, but don't actually know at all. And when we look at this table, you realize it's not done from logic like almost all of the other tables are. And this is what I think, this is my theory of what actually happened. They hadn't put the Sylphs and the Undines and the Salamanders, the elemental spirits, in any of the other tables. And I thought, well, what are we going to do with them? Or Crowley said, what are we going to do with them? Why don't we just have a laugh and stick them in with all the other kind of weird and wonderful stuff? It's not really a magical thing as such, but could go in there. And well, and now, so you have this, the thing about the tables is that they're ordered and structured. You know exactly where you are. So you get the illusion of order and structure and it's all sorted, when in fact it isn't. So this is a video where we don't have a definitive answer, and if we cared that much, we'd be fighting over how it should be done properly. But
excuse me, I would like to thank the person who gave that comment on Facebook, because I had never really paid much attention to it. But now that you start getting into it a bit and doing a bit of studying, it's fascinating material.
It is. It's fascinating material, and it's used to put it into 777, but it's also all over the place.
Yes, yes.
So we're going to try and pick our way through this, and have your own opinions. This is you know, the table is definitive, but you don't have to make it as definitive as you think, and we'll put our spin on where we think and why they gave the attributions that they did. So the first one is, because this table also has 24 lines, which is the major arcana from 11 to 34. And so of course that includes the extra spirit and earth. There's 31 biz and 32 biz. So, which is essentially the universe and the Aeon card, they're doubling up, which tells you that there's an elemental bias to all of this. And normally there's kind of associations you have with the zodiac signs and the planets and things, but this kind of goes out the window.
It is. So if you start looking for connections, you lose the plot.
He's saying there. So we're going to try and keep a straight face,
yes,
when we go through these, and this is a good example of why it doesn't have to make sense, and it's not wrong for you to not make sense of it either. Okay,
it's still very interesting to get to know them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a journey for me as well. You know, we both going to find out what we know about this subject, because we haven't rehearsed this one at all.
There's cases in there I never heard of before.
Yeah, well, you know, you've been educated.
Yes,
thanks to our viewers for bringing this one up, and you know, we're up for it. We'll have a go.
Now we could cause more confusion.
We probably will. Probably will. So the first one is associated with key scale 11, which is the Fall, and it's to do with the Sylphs.
Yes.
Okay. And the Sylph is an air spirit that was written about by Paracelsus in the 16th century. Yes. And he says they're invisible beings of air. And there's been quite a few Rosicrucians had a thing about them, and Paracelsus wrote about the Liber de Nymphs of the philosopher Magna. He says the Sylphs are rougher, coarser, taller, and stronger than humans. The elementals are said to be able to move through their own elements as human beings move through the air. Because of this, the Sylphs are the closest to humans in his conception, because they move through air like we do, while in fire they burn, in water they drown, and in earth they get stuck. I mean, the full card, yeah, it's a good one. You know, this is the thing, you start at the top and think, yeah, it's basically working. You got any comments on this one, Bart?
Yes. On the 16th of March, 1904, Aleister Crowley was on honeymoon in Cairo with his new wife, his lovely new bride, Rose Kelly, and he wanted to show off a bit. So he thought, I'll show her the Sylphs. So he invoked the Sylphs, but she didn't see it.
They were invisible.
I read somewhere that he was getting quite annoyed with it, that she couldn't see the Sylphs. Now, all of a sudden, she started to feel inspired anyway and started saying things like, they are waiting. So that annoyed him even more, apparently. He got at first, he didn't take it very serious. He got pissed off. And but the day after, he did a Thoth invocation to clear the model, supposedly, that was noted in a comment later, to clear the model, which was probably Rose Kelly, who was rambling on about things that he didn't know what she was on about. But then in the end, we all know what happened. She did take the law to him. So that's why I do think Sylphs were something quite special to Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, it's to do with the Fool as well. So we know about the Fool card. You know, if you're watching these videos and you don't know the meaning of the tarot cards, I'm not quite sure why you're here. Wow. But anyway, so that's the Fool.
The Fool.
Hmm?
The Fool is the beginning of it all. Eh?
It's the beginning of it all. And the next one, number 12, is the Magus. And that's all to do with, what is it to do with, Bart?
Voices, witches, and wizards.
Voices, witches, and wizards.
Yes.
Now, this is the voices bit, yeah. Because Mercury is communication, self-expression, and it's kind of the god of communication and writing as well. And the way Crowley does things, the Fool and the Magus are two sides of the same coin, basically. So you could see the Sylphs as air, as communication as well, and why not? And they're unstable, as is the sign of Mercury, because it's got to it's a mutable element, and it takes on the characteristics of whatever sign or planet is associated with. Now the voices are fine, and you have the vision of the voice as well. So it is this thing called Bat Kol, which is the voice of the daughter. So it is very much the idea of a self-expression that goes with it. He puts in witches and wizards next with this one. Probably because witches and wizards, they invoke and they do stuff. Say things.
When you associate the Magus with voices, it makes me think of what's his monkey again? What's his name again?
Hanuman. Hanuman.
That baboon that sits by his feet.
Yeah, the Cynocephalus. Yes.
Yeah, exactly, because normally the Magus speaks, shares his wisdom with the world, but the monkey is disturbing his words. Eh?
I mean, the phrase that comes to mind is the barbarous works of evocation, on that sort of thing.
And then again, voices, Mercury, the word, the Magus. It all makes sense.
You know, and he's being polysexual here, is he? Witches and witches together. So you know, he's woke. So then we move on to, it's the 13th path, the High Priestess, and he has lemures and ghosts.
Oh, I have done some lemures and ghosts. I found a lot about lemurs.
They're not the monkey kind of things you find in Madagascar, or
they are. The name of the monkey is based on the legend of the lemur, because Yeah, because they look spooky with their big eyes in the dark.
They do. They do. And ghosts as well. It's a. I think it's a. It's the ghost thing. Because it says the lemurs were shades or spirits of the restless or malignant dead, and probably with a larva as well. And it's a Roman word, possibly goes back to Greek Lamia as well. And they can be wandering or vengeful spirits. I guess the idea that they're wandering is more to do with the high priestess, that she's on her journey as well.
What I found quite important as well is, so they say wandering and vengeful spirits of those not afforded proper burial, because these are spirits not attested by tomb or votive inscriptions.
Right.
Those actually the dead who come back to their bodies because their bodies haven't been buried.
Yeah. Again, high priestess, the moon,
night.
It's not really a. It doesn't entirely make sense, does it?
No way.
But there again, does it anyway? You see. But this is you know what I mean. If the high priestess came up in a reading and there's some sort of things going on with it, you may well find that ghosts and lemurs are the things that appear at that moment. What do you think, Bart?
But I think, well, it's very nice what we're trying to do here and explaining everything, why Crowley put them there or there. But if we wanted to, we could just put them in a pot, shake it, put them random on every place, and it would be just as easy or difficult to explain why they arrived there.
Well, we could actually do a pseudo table, couldn't we, of one of those things and not tell anyone and say, you know, this is exactly how it was done. So I think we should have a bit more reverence for all of this. When you nod, don't snigger, okay? There's no smiling when we say this. So next one we go on to is the Empress, key of scale 14. And she's associated with the Succubi.
Yeah, Succubi. I'm married to one.
That's staying in. That's not going to be deleted out. So the Empress, of course, is the feminine kind of energies and stuff. And I mean, because, you know, the High Priestess is a bit more aloof and stuff. And the Empress is definitely about fecundity, fertility, and sexual activity. And, you know, most of us have had dreams where these kind of things happen. And apparently Succubi means paramour, which means to lie beneath or under. So anyway, and there's a lot to do with Lilith and Adam's first wife.
Yes.
And all of these things as well too.
Hey, but when I found the definition, you know, because the priestess is a young virgin, is a single girl. Is a young. The Empress is married to the Emperor. Well, demon that appears in female form in order to seduce men to have sex with them, which gives them poor physical and mental health or death. So
death can be fatal, you know.
Yes,
don't have sex. No more sex.
Well, yeah, it's due to the poor physical and mental health.
Right. So I think we'll give 9 out of 10 for this one, shall we? For the Empress.
Yes, it is quite in its place, I find.
Yeah, I think we'll allow that to be the case.
The next one, on the other hand.
Yes. Keyscape. Right. This is where things get a bit strange. As if they weren't strange or anywhere, of course.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the Emperor got transposed with the star card. I actually don't see it as a transposition anymore. I just think they can be either.
Yes, but besides, they're all females. The ones on the number 15 and the ones on the number 28 are all female spirits.
Right. So which ones are we going to put with the Emperor?
Let me see what's number 28. I looked it up. I didn't know. Isn't it vampires? 28?
No. Is it?
Let me see. 28. Water nymphs, sirens, Lorelei, mermaids.
Well, that sounds like Aquarius, because here's Crowley's talking about Aquarius in sense of water rather than the air sign Aquarius.
And a Virgo is
That's what he's done there.
Yeah, and he's put the sign of Virgo next to it. What's Virgo doing there?
Virgin. Yeah. And so the other one for the Emperor is supposed to be, what's that one for the Emperor? As
For the Emperor, which one do you mean? Do you mean 15 or 28?
15.
15. Mania, Erinyes, Euminides. Now, I didn't know what that was. I looked it up, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, they're the Furies. So
Exactly.
You'd say the Furies, the Erinyes, would be the Emperor, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I would have thought that. Yeah. I can't help it.
But they're also they're female chthonic deities of vengeance in Greek mythology.
Yes. There's one good thing about them.
And the Euminides as well.
There's one thing about them.
Yeah, they're not nice ones to meet, basically. So he's, yeah, well, it goes with the Emperor, doesn't it? And so when we actually get to the star card, we'll say refer to the Emperor because we've already talked about it as the star card as water. What do you think?
Well, I think the description I found about these creatures is crones with snakes for hair, dogs' heads, black bodies, bat wings, blood, and really ugly creatures. But when you hear snakes for hair...
That's what you find in Belgian bars, isn't it?
Bars? What?
In Belgian bars.
I will have pretty ladies in Belgium. Sorry, but nevertheless, there's pretty ladies in England too.
Well, you married one.
Yes.
Right. So that's what we're going to do for. You can take a pick on this one. Is 15 or 28 or the star or?
Yes, but I was not finished here.
Sorry. Keep on going, Bart. Keep on going.
No, I will repeat myself now because you obviously ignored me, so you didn't hear what I said. What is it? Euminides. They are called Euminides in hell, Fury on earth, and Nereides in heaven. And they are crones with snakes for hair, and then the whole description. Snakes for hair, what does that make you think of?
Well, that's the the Hydra.
Medusa.
Medusa.
Yes, but Medusa is not one of those. She's something else. She comes later.
Well,
he's a Gorgon.
You know, we didn't write this.
No, we didn't. It doesn't make sense.
Something that doesn't make sense.
And
moving on. Are we done with that one, Bart?
Is this the Emperor of the Star or the Star now?
No, we've moved on from them. We're going on to the Hierophant. You can.
All right.
People can pick and choose what they want them to be.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a perfect part. It follows the one we just had.
Yes. Yeah. So we do the Hierophant next, and the Hierophant has the Gorgons and the Minotaurs.
Yes.
This is relatively straightforward because the Minotaur was the bull in the Greek legend, wasn't it?
Yeah, Crowley loves Persephone, the Minotaur's mom.
Was it Ariadne's thread? I don't know. And of course, the Minotaurs represent Taurus, and Taurus is the bull. So we've got a pretty good picture of what that's about. But the Gorgons, are a little bit different, aren't they?
Yeah, we just spoke about the Gorgon. Medusa is a Gorgon.
Right. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yes.
The Gorgons were 3 sisters, and Medusa was one of them.
So maybe because this follows on from Taurus, then maybe that one should be Aries, should be about the Gorgons as well.
Yeah, you would think.
You can think.
Yes.
We don't know.
the particular thing is here, so there was 3 sisters, 3 Gorgons. One of them was Medusa, but Medusa was the only one that was mortal, and she was killed by Perseus.
Right. So, so this is the beast as well.
Yes.
The bestial thing going on here. So Minotaurs, yes. Gorgon, yeah, it's a beast. Yeah, it can work.
Yeah. Well, listen, you need fantasy in this business.
There's a lot of fantasy in this. Right. Now this is a. Then we move on to key scale 17, which is the lovers, and it has ominous appearances and banshees.
Banshees, yes, that was
Banshees.
Also,
There was Susie and the Banshees. That was a band in the 70s. And it's a female spirit who shrieks or wails and associated with the Chimaeras mounts.
Yes, who heralds the death of relatives.
And that's probably why it says an ominous appearance, because there's an omen that it's coming with it. Why the hell it's to do with Mercury ruling Gemini, the lovers? Well, just occurred to me, 8, 9, and 10 and swords, they're all related to Gemini, aren't they? And he might have done it from that way round. 9 of swords is pretty awful, 10 of swords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crowley acts in mysterious ways.
He does. So we'll put them down to the 8, 9, and 10 of swords. What do you think? Yeah?
Yes.
But we'll keep it as the lovers because we're not really doing the minor arcana on this one. So the next one is key scale 18, the chariot.
Yeah, also such a weird choice.
It's not actually.
Vampires.
It's not a weird choice.
Why not? Explain.
Because if you read the description of the chariot in the Book of Thoth, it talks about the grail and the bowl of blood.
Oh, yeah.
So this makes perfect sense. You can see in the center of the chariot is the bowl, the blue bowl, and there's the red, which is the blood. So, of course, you know, are they legendary orders of being? Well, it depends if you read literature, doesn't it? As much as anything else on this one.
They are part of the cultural heritage. By now, everyone knows vampires. They sell the teeth on Wish.
Yeah, Transylvania. Yeah. So that's what's that one's really about, I reckon. That's not a bad guess, is it?
Nah.
So then we move on to skis. This is where it flips around. The next one is going to do is key scale 22, which is adjustment. Okay. Because you know, if you could go by the order of the major arcana, but we're actually kind of doing it with the order in 777. So the next one, well, I've got here 22. This is the way I did it. And we have the fairies and the harpies.
Yeah.
Well,
Harpies from Harry Potter, eh?
They're very much, harpies are half human, half birds, and they're personification of the storm winds. And of course, adjustment is justice, which is Libra. So because of air and the winds, and it's a bird, we'll give that one, shall we?
It's not a bird in the sense of a pretty lady. Although
no, they're not.
Harpies, they were this later on. They started saying that harpies were half sexy lady, half bird.
Yeah, but they also describe it as being disgusting. And they also relate it to, in one of the, as Aeschylus relates it to the Gorgons as well. So, you know, if you're a feminist, I wouldn't read about this one, basically.
I wouldn't read Crowley in general. Or actually, occult books. Now, when I think of it, it wasn't just Crowley. Eliphas Levi is also like that.
Yeah.
Even Morinos from 1685.
So the next one we're doing Q scale 20. It's this whole thing is all over the place. So you know, trying to put it in an order that's I've given up. Ski scale 20 is the Hermit. Hermit is Virgo. It's an earth sign. And so Crowley associates mermaids with it. Well, I think the only way you can make that sense is because the opposing sign to Virgo is Pisces, which is where you would find the mermaids. So God knows what we're going to find when we get to the moon.
And we just had Banshees with the lovers as well, eh?
Yeah, and Banshees again. So these mermaids, they're not particularly nice ladies either, are they?
No.
Yeah. Give them a wide berth, if I were you.
They're not exactly these Banshees were not exactly birds either. Eh?
No.
When you hear they were screeching old women.
Yeah, but you know, it's still not obvious why he did what he did there, is it?
No.
You know, comments below. Set us right on this one.
Yes.
You know?
Enlighten us.
Enlighten us, yes. So what's the next one? It's going to be...
Yeah, me as well waiting for what I can look it up.
It's the fortune card. Okay.
Mermaids, Banshees, no, that's the one we just had. Here.
We moved on to key scale 21.
Incubi,
which is the fortune card. And now we have the Incubi and Nightmares. Well, if I saw an Incubi in my dreams, I would have nightmares.
It would be a nightmare.
I might live in the gayest part of Brighton, but there are limits.
But listen, normally they are not scary, eh? That's yeah.
Well, maybe you're more metrosexual than I am on this one.
Nowadays, you must keep an open mind.
Yes. So fortune is Jupiter.
Yes. That was also my first association in Jupiter.
But Jupiter is not associated with Incubi or Nightmares as such either, is it?
No.
So, comments below.
Yes. Why did Aleister Crowley associate Incubi and Nightmares to the Wheel of Fortune?
We've never had a video, have we, where we haven't had a clue as much as this one?
No.
There are videos where we haven't had a clue, but you don't actually notice. But on this one, surrender. Moving on. We go on to the last card, key scale 19. See, it jumps around, you see, in this whole thing. And what are we having for this one?
I don't know.
The last card.
It's 22, eh?
Yeah, 22.
Fairies and
it's 19 is the last card.
Oh, horror dragons.
Yeah, dragons, because the last card, you have a kind of dragon on there anyway, don't you?
Yeah, and also what is it? Leo, fire dragon.
Yeah, and the symbol for Leo, the Hebrew letter is Teth, which can be a serpent. So we'll give him that one. I think the illustration of this one is actually the last card, basically. So so that's what's going there. Dragons. Here be dragons. What are you looking at, Bart?
I'm looking at the next one already. 23. That's the
20. Oh, you see, he's already moved on. Some of them you can say more than others, and I think this, there could well be some obscure reference in one of Crowley's writings on the last card, but we didn't find it, and we didn't look that hard. So there's got to be an expert out there who knows this thing. So then we move on to key scale 23, which is number 12, the Hanged Man. And we have the Nymphs, Undines, and Nereides. Now, he's doing a pun in all of this. Can you see that? See what the pun is? None, which is actually really should be the death card, because none is Scorpio. But he's done NUN is basically none. The letter N. And so the nymphs and the undines and the Nereides, well, the undines are the spirits of water.
Yes.
And they do fit in with there perfectly well, which is you know, this is one where there's not a lot of
But
this one is going to be great to wear there.
Didn't have nymphs before, because these undines and Nereides, they are actually the ancestors of nymphs. They are what later became the nymph.
Well, the Nereides, they're actually the sea nymphs, which is the sea. So you could technically say that really this should actually be the moon with Pisces, but because it's really nymphs are freshwater. The Nereides, the undines are definitely freshwater. The nymphs are kind of female spirits of the sea, as are the Nereides. The Nereides and the nymphs are kind of the similar kind of names on things.
Oh yeah, they're basically just water elementals. Eh?
Yes, yes. And they're supposed to be quite friendly as well. So there we go. Again, comments below, please. We're going to crack this if it kills us. And it probably will kill us, won't it?
When you have these creatures, when they look good, they usually eat you.
Is that why you didn't eat your greens and stuff? Right. So for the death card, 23, we have Lamiae, Stryges, and Witches.
Yeah, that's
We've already come across Lamiae before, didn't we? I think it was at the air one, wasn't it?
Yes, let me double check.
Oh, this is Lamia. Yeah, Greek from mythology, is a child-eating monster.
Lemures, we had Lemures for the high priestess, but that's something else, eh?
Okay, yeah, it gets confusing.
Libers or something.
Lamia was a queen of Libya, had an affair with Zeus, and so she had to eat her own children. That's not a bad definition of kind of death there. And there's also serpentine qualities with the whole thing as well.
I found another explanation as well. So the ancient Greece one, that's the one you just said child-eating monster. Yeah. But later they became night-haunting spirits, phantoms, also called empusae, which are basically sexy ladies who seduce young men to satisfy their sexual appetite and then feed on their flesh.
Right.
Typical.
Again, don't have sex, children.
You know. No, at least not with demons or spirits.
No, no.
They usually eat, they're like, how do they call them? Those, those grasshoppers that are evil and
locusts.
Locusts. Yeah.
You heard it here first. Witches, yeah, well, that's guess Bart.
The strigoi.
Yeah.
It's actually a Romanian word, and Dracula from Bram Stoker is based on the legend of the strigoi. So strigoi and vampires are basically the same.
Right. Yeah. So yes, it is, but it also could have actually gone with the chariot card as well on this one. And they put he's put the witches in there as well. He's not very flattering with the witches, is he?
No way. I'm still on the hangman. I also read troubled spirits that have risen from the grave. They can transform into animals, become invisible, and gain vitality from blood. So, vampires.
Vampires.
Yes. They did nothing about garlic or crosses.
I think by now you can see a theme developing, which is why I said at the start, this one...
It's like a Harry Potter episode that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a real dog's dinner of the spirit world. We just hope that they're not offended by the association that we have here. So the next one, Ski Scale 25, is the art card. And we have Centaurs, which is perfectly reasonable because that's very much related with, this is an astrological attribution at last. Centaurs and astrology and Sagittarius.
Yes.
Reasonable.
Yes.
We got no problem with this one, have we?
No.
See? Nothing to see here, nothing to argue about.
Is a centaur. The centaurs, eh?
Yeah, centaurs. It's half human, half horse.
I was thinking it's just an Amazon with a big bum. We will.
You're going to go with that one, are you?
Yeah, but come on, it is true. You don't need much fantasy to follow my drift here.
Well, you may think so. Others may disagree. Right, number 26 is the devil, number 15. And for the devil, we have the Satyrs and Fauns, which is a perfectly reasonable devil Capricornian kind of attribution that we have there, don't we?
Yes, would also have been very suitable for the Fool, I think. Eh?
Well, yes, because the devil is associated with the Fool card.
Yeah.
Because the devil is 0, Ein, and Ein is the Fool as 0. So, yes, and actually there's a description of the devil card at the end of Crowley's description of the Fool card. All perfectly clear.
Yes.
Yes. So we're not going to bother too much about that one because we got some, I think we've got some naughty pictures for this one. Yes, we have. We have some naughty pictures.
Oh,
so if you didn't know what Satyrs and Fauns about, look at the pictures and you get an idea. Right. Number 27 is the Tower, a 16 in the Tower. And we have the Furies, the Chimaeras, and the Boars. There's the Boars of Calydon, which is this famous painting, and there's this actual mythological kind of thing. With Mars, yes, you can kind of have that. The Furies we've already had before, haven't we? But the Furies are furious.
Yes.
And they're very destructive. And the Chimaeras, the bolted on animals with bits of other animals and all these sorts of things that go on with it as well. Disturbing.
Yes.
Any other comments, Bart?
No, to be honest, I wish I did a bit more research on chimeras. I must have missed it.
Yeah.
Boars, do they mean these wild pigs with that?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a male pig. Yes, boar, yeah. And there's the Boars of Calydon as well. We have a pretty picture of that in here as well, you see.
Oh, yeah.
And a picture of a chimera with different parts of the bodies connected to it. Now we move on to key scale 15, which is the star. Water nymphs, Sirens, and Lorelei. So all of these things, this is relating to Aquarius, meaning water,
yes.
Not Aquarius, the sign, even though it is Aquarius and it is the star.
It is peculiar because Aquarius is actually not related to the element water.
Yeah, I know. But Crowley is just doing a straight thing of Aquarius is water, we're having water there. Because he's already done the air ones in the full card.
Yes.
As the Sirens and things like this as well. Not the Sirens, the
the nymphs.
The air was the nymphs? It wasn't. It was not. Nymphs is water.
Yes, but here he calls them water nymphs.
Water nymphs. Okay, yeah, these are water nymphs. This is very much, and the Sirens, the women that have the beautiful voice in the Odyssey, wasn't it? And the sailors crashed into and drowned.
Yeah, and Lorelei is just the lady who is the main character in the legend that gives birth to the legend of the Sirens. Eh?
They're all related. So the feminine. There's the woman there with the cups, and she's pouring the water and things. So Aquarius is water.
Yes.
We'll keep that one. Okay. What's the next thing?
The next one is an easy one. Eh?
The moon.
Yeah.
29. Phantoms and werewolves. What's the difference between phantoms and ghosts?
No idea.
Werewolves, I mean, yeah, because the Moors howl at the moon, don't they? And it's the moon thing where we get the whole kind of thing going on.
They transform into a werewolf when it's full moon normally.
Yes, but but he's taking that as the moon, not as Pisces. Whereas there's the high priestess as Pisces is the moon.
Yes,
he does a completely different thing.
Because werewolves makes perfect sense here.
Yes, he does. As the moon.
Yes, the moon.
Lycanthropy.
Of people.
That's the word, isn't it?
The Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes. So there we go. No, it's more research clearly needed on this, but I mean, it's kind of interesting to go through these legendary orders, and
now we come to something I had never heard of before.
Will o' the Wisp.
Will o' the Wisp. Never heard of it.
Yeah. When I looked at Will o' the Wisp, what the hell is that to do with the sun? Well, there is a luminous quality to the Will o' the Wisp. Yes. And this is tenuous, but that's probably what it's about.
That they are fluo. What do they call them? They are bioluminescent.
Bioluminescence. So we think that's why the sun is associated with it. I mean, because there's loads of kind of spirit groups in English mythology and traditions as well. So again, you can kind of go through them and sort of jack-o'-lantern, and there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with those things. Yeah, so what is the Will o' the Wisp?
It's an atmospheric ghost light, and it's an elemental spirit.
Light, the sun.
A mystery. Usually, they say it hangs over. You think of England, you think of Hound of the Baskervilles, you know, with all the Moors, and you have this illuminating fog above the spooky moor. That's the Will of the Wisp. The Will of the Wisp.
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe. It's as good as any other thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So then we move on to Keyscale 31, the Aeon card, and he has Salamander.
And this is interesting. First of all, normally you would expect Aeon to be dragon, but a Salamander is a sort of, because it's fire.
Well, no, the Aeon card is to do with fire, and the Salamander is the classic transformation kind of thing that's going on there. So Salamander is perfect, and you can do an alchemical salamander. You know, it lives in the fire, doesn't it? And it's not burned by the fire, and it's transforming, and all these sort of things that go on with it. So the salamander, and as I say, the actual elemental ones, because it's the Sylphs at the air one. Yeah, there's a circulation thing that goes around with all these things as well.
They very often show the salamander eating his own tail.
Yes, I mean, because it's a symbol of eternity, and the Aeon is very much to do with time and all those sort of things as well. We don't have a problem with the salamander as Aeon.
Not at all.
That's reasonable.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not gonna get upset about that one. Keyscale 32 is the universe.
Yes.
And here for that one, he has ghouls, larvae, and corpse candles.
We've already had the larvae. That was these lemurs, the souls of the dead or something.
Yes. So this is universe as Saturn. So this is the dead, and the ghouls are spirits of the dead. And the corpse candles are phenomena associated to do with spirits in graves and things like this as well, aren't they?
Yeah, it's all got to do with death, eh?
Yeah. Saturn as death. Not death as death.
Not
Called by Mars, Scorpio. This is the universe as death. Makes sense?
I found it makes, but especially since the universe is the last card as well, eh?
And it's to do with Saturn.
Yes. And Saturn is the Black Sea of Bina, and it's not very happy things in there.
Yeah, well, we're not actually going on the Tree of Life as such on this one, are we?
They are connected. This is 777. I mean, if you ignore the Tree of Life looking in 777, you got no clue what you're on about.
Well, I think people watching this one, I think we don't either. So
who cares? We're having a good time.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, we've got to inform and entertain.
Yes.
So we have 31 bis, which is also the Aeon, which is the Aeon as spirit.
Yes.
And this is a really interesting one. It's a Socratic Genius.
Yes. Or a demon, eh? They say daemon of Socrates.
Yes. Socrates Genus.
Yes. It's from a line here. A line someone wrote. I read somewhere that a line. Someone was waiting by the grave of Socrates for an answer.
Yes, it's the daemon. It's your
He's waiting
spirit who is kind of your guiding spirit, if you like. So
Yes.
that's really interesting that he's put that there, basically.
especially as the element spirit.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
he didn't want to put anything malevolent there.
No, it's a very powerful one that's sort of going on. So that's a really powerful one. And then there's also 32 Bis, which is the universe as Earth. And he has the gnomes. The gnomes, you know, they're the spirits of the earth.
Yes,
And that's pretty undisputable. But he also has the dweller of the threshold, which is a being that's there to stop you or guard higher states of consciousness, basically, isn't he?
What did I find? Spectral image that manifests as soon as the student of the spirit ascends upon the path into the higher worlds of knowledge. And it's supposed to be a combined evil influence that is the result of wicked thoughts and acts of the age in which one may live. Oh.
Well, and Rudolf Steiner wrote a...
I'm not going on that pathway.
Also, Edward Bulwer-Lytton in Zanoni, which is one of the books that Crowley read and was inspired to find the Golden Dawn through. So it can also be Cerberus, and it's something that you have to kill in order to move on. It's killing the Buddha by the side of the road would be another way of describing these things as well. So there's quite a few ways of looking at these things. We've come up with some of them. Slightly stream of consciousness, because it's one of these fluid ones that you know it's not quite, and there's probably other ones that he hasn't included that could actually go in here.
Yes, and what do we know now? That the elementals of fire are salamanders, water are the undines, air are the sylphs, and fire are the salamander, and earth are the gnomes.
Yes. I mean, I think that's where the starting point was for this table, because they didn't put it elsewhere. Because we have the tables for earth, air, fire, and water, but they don't exactly fit in with those things as all the rest of it. So then I think they built the table around that structure. The Centaurs is an obvious, easier one to do. So there we are. This requires a lot more research.